Welcome back to Sleepy Palm Island. Tonight's story drifts to a quiet beach where a couple rests in a hammock under the moon, their children asleep in the house nearby, and their old Labrador curled close in the sand. It's a story about lasting love, a quiet reflection on time, togetherness, and what remains when everything else fades. So settle in and let the night carry you into their calm. The night settles over the island like a deep breath held by the sea. Palm leaves drift in slow circles above the tide's rhythm, their edges catching glints of silver light. Along the horizon, the moon leans low, calm, deliberate, its reflection moving gently across the skin of the water. The sand beneath the hammock carries the day's warmth in some places, the cool touch of shadows in others. Somewhere behind the trees, a small lantern burns near the wooden porch of their beach house, casting an amber halo that sways with the wind. A couple rests together in the hammock, its ropes creaking softly with each gentle swing. Years have passed since their first night here, yet this one feels no different. Calm, slow, endless. His hand rests over hers. Their fingers move slightly, tracing small patterns, as if reminding each other of old stories without words. The sea hums its ancient rhythm, the same sound that once carried their laughter when they were young, and now rocks their children to sleep in the quiet house nearby. From where they lie, only the ocean can be heard, its steady breath rising and falling, as if the whole island were breathing with them. All of life, near and far, blends into one soft, unbroken tone. He turns slightly, just enough for his voice to find her ear. Still awake. Her reply comes like the breeze. Barely, but I don't want to sleep yet. He smiles without opening his eyes. You always say that. Silence again. But this silence isn't empty. It breathes. It holds the years between them. The night carries small sounds. The rustle of banana leaves the soft chirp of a cricket hidden in the grass, the quiet collapse of a wave against the sand. Everything moves in a rhythm of its own, calm, precise, as if the whole world already knows what it's doing. A soft scent drifts from the garden, jasmine, faintly sweet. She remembers planting it the summer after their first child was born. He had built the fence that year, hammering until sunset, shirt damp with salt and sweat. That fence still stands. That child, now taller than both of them, sleeps inside. Time folds like the tide, always returning, never the same. She opens her eyes to the moonlight, shimmering through branches. Do you remember the first time we stayed out here? He hums, searching the memory. When the hammock almost broke, her laugh stirs the air. Yes, you swore you'd fix it the next day. I did fix it after 2 years. They both laugh, quietly, careful not to wake the night. The hammock rocks. The laughter fades, replaced by a long exhale that feels like gratitude. They have learned how to speak less, how to listen to what doesn't need to be said. Far out at sea, a fishing boat passes with a single yellow light. It draws a thin, glowing line across the horizon, then vanishes. The sound of its small motor hums for a moment before the waves swallow it. She watches the horizon where it disappeared. Do you ever think about how fast it all went? He doesn't answer at once. His thumb brushes her wrist. Sometimes. But then nights like this make it feel like we never moved at all. Her breath slows. Maybe that's what family does. It keeps you still enough to see time. For a while, they listen to the slow rustling of the sea. Above them, clouds drift like smoke, veiling the stars. The moonlight softens to a deeper hue, amber on the edges, silver in the middle, blue where the waves bend it. He shifts slightly, pulling the blanket higher over her shoulder. The gesture is simple, but it carries decades of small acts. Breakfasts shared, storms weathered, mornings when one was tired and the other carried the day. The gesture is simple, but it carries decades of small acts, breakfasts shared, storms weathered. "You've always done that," she whispers. "What made sure I'm warm?" He smiles again, voice low. "Habit." "No," she says softly. "It's love that turned into habit." The sound of the word lingers between them. Love. Not as a flame, but as a slow pulse under the skin of life. The kind that keeps a home breathing, that fills an ordinary evening with the taste of eternity. From the shadows beneath the porch, soft paws pad across the sand. Their Labrador emerges, a large white shape gliding through the silver wash of moonlight. His coat shimmers faintly, the color of sea foam, catching the glow with every step. He pauses beside the hammock, tail moving in slow, contented arcs, and nudges their hands with his nose, warm and insistent, asking silently to be part of this stillness. They reach down together, fingers sinking into his coat. He leans into their touch with a low, contented sigh, eyes half closed, the way she's done since she was a puppy. For a moment, nothing separates them. Not years, not words, only the warmth of trust and the calm of being known. When he settles again, it's right beside them, circling once before lying down in the sand. His breathing soon joins theirs in the seas, 3 steady rhythms folding softly into one. Every small sound adds to the music of their shared world. He speaks again, barely above the whisper of waves. "You know, when I was younger, I thought love was something you had to prove. And now," she asks, "now I think it's something you keep alive by noticing it." Her fingers tighten around his. "Then we've done that well." "We have," he says, and the hammock sways again. A shooting star falls quietly above the ocean, a brief glowing line that fades before either of them can make a wish. They simply watch it vanish, grateful for the moment. Behind them, the air smells of salt and driftwood. The light from the lantern flickers against the wooden planks of the porch, tracing golden patterns that move like ripples. His eyes close again. He listens to her breathing, steady and slow, merging with the rhythm of the sea. You always said, "This place feels alive," she murmurs. "It does," he replies. "Maybe because everything here moves at the same pace we do now." A soft wind drifts from the ocean, touching their skin. Time loosens its grip. The night folds around them, patient and safe. Somewhere far down the beach, a coconut drops from a palm, the sound soft and round as it meets the sand. A quiet echo that fades back into the stillness. He thinks of mornings, how she hums in the kitchen, how sunlight filters through the same window each day. He thinks of the laughter of their children, of the way she looks at them when they argue, calm but firm, teaching love through quiet example. He has seen her in every season, young and radiant, tired and strong, joyful and silent. And through it all, he has never stopped being surprised by the peace she brings. The hammock stills. The sea breathes. She speaks once more, voice softer than before. "Do you ever wonder if we were meant to find each other?" He opens his eyes, turns his head slightly. "I don't think it was about finding," he says. "It was about staying." Her lips curve into a quiet smile, one he has seen countless times. Soft, unhurried, and full of calm affection. The world grows quieter still. The moonlight deepens. The rhythm of the ocean slows, as if listening. In that stillness, everything feels whole. The sea, the sand, the years behind them, the house full of sleeping children, the garden blooming in the dark. Their love breathes through it all, not as a story to be told, but as the life they've quietly built, one gentle night at a time. The hammock sways again, slow enough to be almost still. Her hand traces a circle on his forearm, a small, unconscious gesture, not of affection, but of closeness, a quiet way of saying, I'm here. He feels it, half in dream, half in waking thought, the way the sea feels the pull of the moon. Their breathing synchronizes again, without intention. He lets his gaze rest on the horizon, that endless thin line between what they were and what they've become. He remembers mornings filled with rushing, school lunches, forgotten shoes, the clatter of plates, and how somehow all those small messes became the fabric of their life. He never thought peace could grow out of noise, but it did, quietly, as everything else had. Are you cold? She whispers. No, I like it like this. Good, she says, and her voice blends into the sound of the waves. For a while, neither of them speaks. There's no need. The silence is full of years, of laughter, of words already said and long absorbed by time. He listens to the sea move against the shore, its rhythm slow and familiar, like someone whispering the same comforting words over and over. He watches the moon guide the waves, the way love draws two hearts closer, gently, through trust and quiet openness, until being together feels as natural as breathing. A cloud drifts over the moon, and shadows fall across their faces. She tilts her head toward him, eyes half closed. Do you ever wonder what it'll be like when the kids are grown? He smiles, though she can't see it. Quieter, too quiet, maybe for a while, but then you'll fill it with something else. You always do. Her laugh is just a breath, maybe a garden or a small cafe, something that smells like cinnamon and salt air. I can see that, he says. You'd bake too much and give everything away. She shrugs softly. Maybe that's the point. The hammock moves again, slower this time, Somewhere beyond the trees, the ocean deepens into darker blue. A small group of fireflies flickers near the bushes, their lights pulsing in uneven intervals. She watches them. Do you think they know how beautiful they look? He opens his eyes to follow her gaze. Probably not. Maybe that's why they are. Her smile lingers, then fades into reflection. It's strange, she says softly. So many people forget how beautiful the ordinary is. A quiet morning, a warm meal, the sound of someone moving in the next room. He turns toward her, eyes full of warmth. But we never did, he says. We learned early that life hides in small things, in the way light falls on the table, in the smell of bread baking, in laughter that doesn't need a reason. She nods, her gaze drifting toward the sea. Maybe that's why we've stayed happy, she whispers. We kept paying attention. He smiles. Yes, that's our secret. We never waited for something grand. We just loved what was already here. A long pause follows. The sea whispers against the sand. The fireflies blink out, one by one. Her mind drifts to their first small apartment. Cracked walls, thin curtains, nights spent counting coins to make rent. How young they were, and how sure that love alone could feed them. And somehow it had. Not because it solved anything, but because it gave meaning to each small effort. The hammock creaks again, the rope fibers straining slightly, aged but strong, much like them. He shifts, finding her hand again. It fits perfectly, as if time had shaped their fingers for that single purpose. I like that we still do this, she says. What? Just sit outside, talk, do nothing. He nods. It's what I'll remember most. She glances at him. Not the trips, the birthdays. Those too, he says. But this, he squeezes her hand lightly. This is where everything else comes back to rest. The waves gather strength for a moment, crash a little louder, then retreat again, gentle and sure. Their motion feels timeless, the same rise and fall that has always carried the world forward. He watches the foam dissolve into sand. It's strange, he says, how much we used to want more. Bigger house, better car, all that noise. And now all I want want is exactly this. She closes her eyes. Maybe that's what growing together means. You stop chasing what shines and start keeping what stays. Another silence follows. Above them, a single star flickers brighter than the rest, its light cutting through a thin veil of clouds. He imagines their children, years from now, walking on this same beach, remembering these nights, without knowing how much they shaped them. Do you think they'll understand? She asks, as if reading his thought. They will, he says. Not now, but one day, when they're tired, and they see each other's faces in the dark, and still feel peace, they'll know. A wave curls up the shore and stops near the base of the hammock, close enough that the mist touches their feet. She draws the blanket tighter, rests her head against his shoulder. He feels her heartbeat through the quiet, slow, constant, like a second tide beneath his ribs. Time softens around them. The night breathes in and out. He thinks about how many small moments made this one. All the apologies, the compromises, the unspoken forgivenesses that built a home stronger than wood and nails. Do you ever regret anything? She asks suddenly, not out of sadness but curiosity. He shakes his head. No. Regret comes from wanting to change the past, but every mistake was a door. I wouldn't know you this way without them. She lets out a slow breath. You always find the right words. He smiles. No. I just stopped needing the wrong ones. Her eyes drift to the line of palms leaning toward the sea. It's strange, she says softly. When I was younger, I thought love was the beginning of everything. But maybe it's what remains when everything else fades. He turns toward her, the corners of his mouth lifting. Then we're doing fine. A faint scent of rain moves through the air, though the sky remains clear. She notices it first, breathing it in with a faint smile. Smells like it might rain tomorrow. He nods. Let it. The garden will be happy. Her eyes close. Do you remember when we planted the first mango tree? How could I forget? You told me it wouldn't survive, and you told me love helps things grow. He chuckles. It did, didn't it? Yes. And now it drops fruit all over the yard. They both smile, picturing the mess, the laughter of their children gathering fruit in buckets, juice dripping down their hands. So many summers, all folded into the scent of that tree. The hammock drifts again. The stars deepen. The waves recede just enough to leave a thin mirror of water on the sand, reflecting the moonlight like glass. He studies it. You know what's strange? What? How we spent years dreaming about someday, and now someday is just this. You, me, the sea. Everything still moving, but nothing rushing. She nods against his shoulder. Maybe someday was never a place. Maybe it's a moment that finally stops running away. A hush follows, the kind that feels sacred. No sound, but the sea inhaling and exhaling, the soft brush of leaves above them. He watches her profile in the moonlight, the quiet certainty in her expression, the trace of a smile that belongs entirely to now. He realizes how much beauty hides in her face when it's seen with patience. She whispers, half asleep, "Do you think love ever ends?" "No," he says. "It changes shape, that's all. It becomes air, or light, or silence. Then promise me something, anything. When we're old and can't walk the beach anymore, promise we'll still come out here, even if it's just to sit and listen." "I promise," he says. "And if one of us goes first," he hesitates, but only for a breath. "Then the other will keep the hammock swinging." Her eyes glisten, catching the faint reflection of the sea. "That's enough," she whispers. The waves answer by softening again, smoothing the sand, folding the night into one endless exhale. He closes his eyes. Every sound melts into one. Water, leaves, breath. In the distance, the porch light dims, its glow flickering once before fading out completely, leaving only the moon to cast its calm, steady light. Their voices fall silent, their hands still gently intertwined. He feels her heartbeat slowing under his palm. The hammock barely moves now, just enough to remind them that the earth still breathes beneath. Somewhere across the horizon, dawn waits, unseen, unhurried. But for now, the world remains held in its gentle pause, the kind that comes only to those who have learned that love is not found, not lost, but quietly lived, moment after moment, night after night. The water lingers around their feet, cool and light as silk, then slips away again, leaving behind the faint glitter of salt. The tide's retreat carries with it a sound almost like breathing, a whisper that seems to speak only to them, only in this hour when the world has forgotten to hurry. He opens his eyes to the dim shimmer of the horizon and watches the line where the ocean folds itself into sky. It's thinner now, more fragile, a thread that could dissolve with the faintest touch of dawn. Her fingers are still loosely wrapped in his, their warmth fading and returning with each shift of air. He can feel her pulse, slow and even. It reminds him of the first night their youngest child slept through till morning, the relief that felt like a small miracle, how they lay awake just listening to silence, afraid to move in case it ended. The same silence surrounds them now, yet it no longer asks to be guarded. It's theirs, earned through years of being and mending and forgiving. The hammock moves with a sigh, fabric breathing against fabric. Above them, clouds begin to drift apart, revealing more stars than before, whole constellations that had been hidden all night. He feels their faint light on his skin, fragile but insistent. Every shimmer carries the weight of old stories, sailors, wanderers, lovers, all of them looking up at the same sky. He wonders how many had sat like this, hearts steady and full, realizing that love is not in the grand gestures, but in the quiet act of staying. Her head shifts against his shoulder. He brushes a strand of hair from her face, and his hand pauses there, resting near her temple. He can feel her warmth even through the cool night. The years have softened everything. The lines around her mouth, the tone of her voice, the way her laughter rises. Yet he knows the same flame lives underneath. Quieter now, but deeper. He remembers mornings, her standing at the window, coffee in hand, watching the sun push its first light across the sea. The smell of toast, the sound of waves mingling with the chatter of children. Ordinary mornings that became sacred simply because they were shared. Now, lying here, he realizes that the same peace has come back around, dressed in moonlight instead of dawn. The hammock sways, a long, slow arc that seems to take minutes. Its motion is so smooth, it becomes part of the air, a pendulum that measures peace instead of time. The sea's voice deepens, pulling him into its rhythm. Waves roll like long thoughts, one after another, erasing their edges on the sand. Somewhere nearby, a crab scuttles across the beach, its tiny claws clicking like a broken clock. A moth flutters briefly around them, then vanishes into the dark canopy above. Small, unnoticed lives, moving quietly alongside theirs. The kind of lives that keep the world alive without anyone thanking them. She speaks again, her voice a shade louder now. You know what I realized tonight? What's that? That love gets lighter with time, not heavier. He turns slightly toward her. Lighter? Yes. Like the weight turns into air. It stops being about holding on and becomes about breathing the same space. He smiles. I like that. Breathing the same space. She sighs. I used to think love meant never changing. Now I think it's about changing together. He nods. We did that. We did, she whispers, and her words melt into the sound of the tide. He feels her drifting toward sleep again. Her body settles deeper into the curve of his. He adjusts the blanket slightly, careful not to wake her. The warmth between them holds steady. A thin mist begins to rise from the sea, silver under the moonlight. It drifts inland, slow and silent, wrapping around the palms and the house behind them. The air feels softer now, thicker, with the scent of salt and flowers. He inhales and closes his eyes, letting the mixture of smells, jasmine, sea, wood smoke, anchor him to this exact second. He imagines the morning that will come, the faint rustle of waves, the cries of seabirds, the sunlight spilling over the porch. He knows they'll wake before the children, make coffee, then step outside to breathe in the ocean as it awakens. That quiet moment when the world feels newly made. Simple things than 1,000 times before, yet somehow always new. That's what life with her has been. Repetition turned into ritual. A faint sound interrupts his thought, the soft patter of dew falling from leaves. It lands on the hammock's edge, small and cool against his skin. He looks at her again. Her face is calm, lit faintly by the moon. He notices the small scar near her eyebrow, one he'd almost forgotten, from a night long ago when they'd run through the rain, laughing. He remembers lifting her afterward, both of them drenched, both too young to know that such moments would later become treasures. The hammock sways once more, almost imperceptibly. The air is so still that each movement feels like part of a dream. He whispers softly, "You've given me the kind of peace I never knew could exist between two hearts." No answer, only the night folding closer, the sea moving through its endless cycle. He thinks of the years ahead, not in detail, not in fear, Just the idea of them, stretched out like this shoreline, calm and constant. He imagines the seasons changing, the children growing, laughter echoing across the same sand. He pictures his own footsteps fading behind him, hers beside them, both washed smooth by the tide. Somewhere beyond the waves, the fisherman's lantern disappears into the horizon. The stars shift, almost imperceptibly, like the turning of a page. He lets his thoughts dissolve, not resisting their drift. They wander through memories, her first letter, the small silver ring she wore for years, the day she said yes, beneath a sky that looked exactly like this. He remembers the sound of her voice, the first time she said his name. Even now, after decades, it carries the same quiet gravity, the sound that told him he had arrived. Her breathing deepens. Sleep has taken her fully. He watches her for a while longer, just the outline of her profile against the dim sea light. Then he closes his eyes too. The night continues to breathe around them. The ocean folds and unfolds, a great heart that has never stopped beating. The palms rustle softly, whispering fragments of wind. The world feels both infinite and close enough to hold. The mist has grown denser now, turning the garden into a blur of outlines and shadows. Even the stars have softened into smudges of light. He shifts once more, instinctively drawing her closer. She murmurs, but doesn't wake. The hammock rocks again, once, twice, slower, until the motion fades entirely. In this stillness, everything feels suspended. The sea, the air, the world itself seems to pause, just long enough for love to be felt, not thought about. Minutes stretch, then dissolve into the unmeasured calm of night. He doesn't notice the moment sleep finds him. The sea keeps whispering, telling its endless tale of hearts that find each other, of tides that leave only to return, of love that endures quietly beneath the faithful light of the moon. And beneath that patient light, the hammock holds two bodies, two hearts, one rhythm, breathing the same space, carried by the same endless tide.